Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Adam Tomlin, host of the Act Out podcast, where he advocates for everyone to pursue their happiness. And before that, he was an attorney, so we'll talk about that part of his journey. Today, we'll explore with him what it means to make a life, make a living, and make a difference, and why pursuing your happiness might be the most courageous thing you ever do. Welcome to the show, Adam.
AJ, thank you so much for having me on, man. This is as soon as I saw that this was a live format, I was like, oh my goodness, I have got to try this out. I've got to meet AJ. So I'm very excited to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Adam. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about happiness. We'll talk about masculinity, and we'll talk about mental health. And we'll also talk about your podcast, Act Out, and what you are doing there. But before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, your story, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Okay. Yeah. My name is Adam Tomlin, and I do host the Act Out podcast. Prior to that, though, as AJ was saying, I was an attorney in the state of Georgia in the United States. I practiced mainly family law, like divorces, child custody, child support, things like that. And then also did appellate work as well. So if you had a case at you had a trial court case and you lost and you're like, hey, now I don't like that. I don't think that's right. You would come to me and then I would file an appeal and see if we could try to get the case reheard.
Absolutely. Case rehearsed. So we'll talk about that part also. But before that, let's understand about, you talk about act out. What does act out mean? It means how should anyone in another part of the world who is not very familiar with your part of the world, the lingo, the slang, how should they understand this particular thing?
Well, excuse me. It's funny that you mentioned that, because even here in America, people hear act out and they're like, wait, I thought that meant something different. So it's very apropos that you asked this question. Act out means to pursue your happiness. And I hear you, AJ. Thomas Jefferson didn't come up with it either. Okay, so it's not technically plagiarism. But yeah, so why act out means to pursue your happiness is because in today's world, the status quo, or the narrative, so to speak, is that you are working for someone else's dreams and you're having to work for someone else's happiness. So with that kind of status quo and that kind of narrative, if you are living for yourself and you're pursuing your own happiness, that's acting out. And so, yeah, that's why I decided to call it Act Out. And also, if I'm being honest, my initials are ACT, Adam Camden Tomlin. So it fit right in there.
Absolutely. And with your, now with this revelation, it actually makes perfect sense, Adam. So we'll talk about a bit more about your podcast also in the next segment. But first, to understand, when you talk about, looking at yourself, making, pursuing your happiness, how should one understand whether you are talking about self-care, or some people will say you are becoming selfish? How should one understand that?
Okay, well, so what I'm kind of hearing there is there's, I think, kind of a misconstruing between what the words mean. So the way I would define self-care is to create a life for yourself that you don't feel the need to escape from. So in that sense, we're not thinking of self-care as like getting my nails done, hair done, everything did. It's not about that. It's about creating a life for yourself that you feel comfortable living in. So that's that kind of self-care thing is where is what I mean by that. I don't think that you could be if you could be selfish, totally like just living for yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I get it. I get it. And the audience also will get it certainly. But I want to understand it more in your
Mhm.
words.
Okay.
What is Adam Tomlin trying to do? What is it that you wants to tell the world with what he's doing, what he's
Mhm.
saying?
So there are the gist of the podcast is to pursue your happiness. And I look at pursuing your happiness in three different ways. It's the first is to make a life, and the second one to make a living, and the third is to make a difference. So, kind of to tie back to the first question, uh, to make a life is to work on yourself and to find out the inner workings inside, what it is that you want to do with your life. If you could live for yourself and you could pursue your dreams, what would you want to do? So that's the making a life part. Making a living is about having economic opportunities. Uh, the I think there's kind of this misconstruction or kind of this like misnomer that if uh, if people try to if people get helped out making a living, then it would be basically the government helping government making sure that it ensured results, and that's not at all what I believe. I believe in this context, making a living is to make sure that there is equality of opportunity for everyone, and so that it doesn't matter what you look like, where you were born, or your social status, anything like that. You can pursue your dreams and you can pursue your happiness just as much as the person that was born with the silver spoon in their mouth and the mansion up on the hill.
Absolutely, absolutely, Adam. Pursue your happiness. Doesn't it sound like very simple stuff? But then when you talk about make a life, make a living, make a difference, why does it become so challenging for a lot of people in today's time?
Uh,
Is achieving this thing simple or is it very challenging?
it is very challenging. And so America, our founding our ideals were written in the Declaration of Independence, and that is that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And so, having those kind of enshrined in something so foundational, you would think that it should be pretty easy for everyone to have access to to those have access like to those ideals. However, that's not the case, and so it kind of compounds on each other. You say there's trouble in trying to make a life. There's really not as much access to mental health care here and around the globe as there should be, and people are struggling and they're hurting, and without any access to care, they're not going to be able to be able to move on up and try to pursue their dreams. And so at first you can't even make a life, and then the second part on top of that is to make a living. And making a living is what we had said earlier. It's pursuing. A lot of times you're having to pursue someone else's dreams and pursue someone else's happiness. So even if you have access to that mental health care, you have trouble with that second part, being able to make a living for yourself. And so, if what the plan would be, and what I am advocating for, is that everyone has an equality of opportunity, so that they have a chance to make a life and make a living.
Absolutely. So, who will provide them that opportunity, Adam? Because everyone is fighting for themselves. And it's not about
Mhm.
just one country, it's almost about
Yes.
everywhere in the world. Some of the people, they have got all the factors of production, all the opportunities in a very few hands. And the world is just, is fighting amongst themselves to
Mhm.
overpay perhaps leftover crumbs.
Yes, yes, very much so. It's about spreading out the opportunity. Um, I grew up in the late '80s, early '90s during the I don't know if y'all be familiar with this term, the Reagan Revolution. And it was a very much a small government. Government isn't the solution to your problem. Government is the problem, and it was kind of bashing down and like you don't need government help. All you need is just freedom. But what we've seen from that, for in 40 years is that what happens whenever you just when you slash spending and you slash care for everyday folks, what happens is that wealth accumulates up at the very top, and it's the billionaires, it's the millionaires and the billionaires getting more money, hoarding more, and it's not going down. We were told a rising tide lifts all boats, but we got a billionaire class that's reaching up to Mount Everest while it's pushing everyone else down. So what this would be advocating for is to kind of redistribute that power so that billionaires don't have as much power and the everyday folks have a little bit more power. So hopefully there's more homeostasis there.
Absolutely. A lot of people, say that, you have the opportunity. You just think that you do not have the opportunity. Why I ask this is, you also talk about beliefs, childhood beliefs that shape us who we are as adults, and how finally those beliefs impact us. That can be changed. So should we look at our beliefs first? That will make us see opportunities better. Adam, how would you want people to uh, get started? Where to from getting started?
That's a very good question, and AJ, I think you're absolutely right. You have to start inside and working on yourself before you can go out and try to make a difference in the world. So the first thing that I would recommend doing, a lot of times, I would say every time, I haven't met a human yet that doesn't have this, but that inner self critic. If you AJ, I know you're close to perfect, man, but if you do something, you make a mistake, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot, or I'm so stupid. Like how you kind of have that thought in your mind. What I would recommend doing the next time that happens, and you hear that inner critic, I know the kind of the what the urge to do is to like attack or be like, no, I'm not like that, or like to kind of basically get in a fight with yourself. So instead of trying to have that fight with yourself, be curious. So whenever if you hear like, ah, AJ, you're so stupid, if you had said that, if you could sit down and reflect on that, now, like literally just like let that inner self critic talk. And what I found whenever I don't just reflexively try to push it away and be like and get in a fight with it, if I sit with it and kind of just let that feeling speak for a little bit, um, I find out that it's actually really not trying to tear me down. It's actually wanting to help me, and it's wanting to be a cheerleader. It just doesn't know how. So if you can sit with it and be like, hey, maybe it's not all bad. I think that would be a good first step to working on yourself. And then once you do that for a bit, then you can go outside and start pursuing more.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, growing up, when we talk about childhood beliefs, growing up, how did your rural upbringing, as you say, make you the person that you are? Would you be different if you were, uh, you were raised somewhere else?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't have this accent. um, growing up, and you're right, it was a rural town in northwest Georgia, and so it was a growing up a very patriarchal. So there was like status and hierarchy, and you had to kind of move up. So there was kind of patriarchal, and also we didn't really talk too much about feelings or emotions, especially around men. So another thing that influenced me was like Hollywood and action movies. So I was kind of taught that if you can't spin kick a problem like Jean Claude Van Damme, then you just better push that down, way down deep inside and just let it go. Uh, and so it was kind of the holding on to your emotions and pushing them down, and then also to go back to kind of growing up in that patriarchal society. I was born on the in the lower rung of that social ladder. I grew up in a trailer for the first like 10 years of my life, and I was very, very conscious of my lack of socioeconomic status. And so what that made that frame of mind made me want to rise up in the in like the social hierarchy, so to speak, and do everything I possibly could to get to the top, which is not necessarily so bad, but there were so many destructive behaviors that I wasn't going to get to the top.
I totally relate with you, Adam. I myself was born in a village thousands of kilometers away from where I am, in a small village, and also then grew up in a small town. With one side we had the beautiful small town. One side we had the river. The other side we had the mountains, and those were beautiful days, different days. Today's time is totally different. So that's why particularly I asked that question, to understand, so so that the audience can understand the person behind such a beautiful backdrop, such a wonderful. So let me talk about, when you talk about patriarchal society and all this and the feelings and everything, you also talk about masculinity. What is it
Mhm.
that you talk about, that you would want to share that part with the audience?
Okay, so we've got this kind of epidemic in America. I don't know if it's the same in India or not, but especially around like men, around men, there is this there's this narrative that or that the only way that you can show strength as a man is by how much emotion you can hold down, and how well you can keep a calm, cool, steely demeanor. And it seems like the a lot of times that the only acceptable emotion for a man is anger, and only in certain instances. Uh, but that flies in the face of my experience, and it also flies in the face of human nature as well. Uh, to live in to live in a society where you are having to be with groups of people and to share one of the best qualities that you can have is being caring or being compassionate. So whenever we have these folks, it happens, in politics, and it also happens with the. Have you ever heard the term the podcaster bros?
Right,
Like,
right.
yes, and we kind of have those guys that are saying real men do this, real men don't do that. I, Whenever they do that, they sound like they are trying to be bouncers at the world's worst club that no one wants to go to. So what I think is that masculinity masculinity, the greatest show of strength, and you want to be masculine as a man, show how caring you are. The strongest muscle in your body is your heart. So if you want to
Right.
flex something, pump that.
Very well said. Very well said. I'm sure that will resonate with a lot of people. People will understand, muscles better in that particular way. Talking of, your podcast now, Act Out. podcast. When did this idea come in about starting this podcast? How did you approach this?
Well, originally, right around the time I was thinking of starting a podcast. They were electing a new pope, and unfortunately, I threw my name in the hat for that one, and I did not get elected as pope. So I was like, why not start a podcast? No, the reason why I started this. The results of the 2024 election absolutely shocked me. I did not think that I didn't think that we would have the result that we did. And so then, whenever I kind of started looking back and trying to figure out what went wrong, like why did so many people think that one candidate was going to be better whenever he made every indication that he wouldn't be. And the biggest thing that I realized was the influence that those podcaster bros had on especially younger men. And seeing that, I was like, if these fools can do it, I can too. And that is my goal. I want to show folks that that there is another way of thinking, and that we can move forward if we get together and band together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talking of happiness, then, the pursuit of happiness. What about you? Do you analyze about your, happiness?
Mhm.
Are you happy, more happy, perfectly happy? How would you want to put it for us?
Oh man, I don't know about perfectly happy. I don't, but I I tell folks, and it may sound a little weird, but pursuing my happiness is me being behind this mic. I love having deep conversations. Right now, though, you and I are talking back and forth, man. I am thoroughly enjoying this. And one of my favorite things in the world is to talk to someone about something that they're passionate about. It doesn't even matter what the heck the subject is. It's going to be more entertaining and it's going to be more informative because their passion, it reads through the screen, or like whenever if you're like in person with them, you can feel that energy. And I love like playing off of that energy, having these meaningful conversations, and hopefully bottling that up and sending it out to the world. That is definitely me pursuing my happiness.
Absolutely. Now, you have a lot of listeners, a lot of world which listens to you. And they may not be podcasters. They may not have this mic that we have in front of us.
Mhm.
But they are doing other things, other great things, trying to do great things, trying to make a life, make a living, make a difference. How should they understand whether they have achieved happiness? What do you tell them about this?
Um, s- so kids, random stranger here on the internet, here to give you some life advice. And that life advice is this: never listen to life advice from random strangers on the internet. Um,
Right.
I don't think that that I should be able to tell you what your happiness is or what you should do. That's something that is it's kind of almost a sacred process, so to speak, and that takes way more self reflection than someone than from someone being able to look from the outside and be like, hey, it looks like you're doing your happiness, because some of the folks who may outwardly look the happiest and present as the happiest have some of the biggest struggles going on. So I think that and kind of the way that you frame that question kind of brings up a very good point, or like kind of a very good debate, and that is where you get your validation from. And so I think that a lot of times happiness begins whenever you can stop searching and stop seeking that external validation and focus a lot more on internally. After you do something, how do you feel afterwards? Not, did that make AJ happy? Did that make Adam happy? No, did it make you happy? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very well put, Adam, indeed. This one is very good indeed. I'm sure a lot of people, would want, there's so much to learn from you. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you, learn more about you. Also,
I sure hope
learn
so.
from your podcast. And so, what is the best way for them to do so?
So I'm also on YouTube. And as soon as this is over, but you do not turn off this video before he ends now. But whenever this video is over, we are the Act Out podcast on YouTube. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts from. I would certainly love to have you, and I work really hard to keep you entertained.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
AJ, thank you, man. I hope you all have a good day.